Hello and welcome to Co-Advocate Goes Live. My name is Kelly Godell and I'm the Regional Coordinator for Prevention Services at Co-Ed Early Care and Education Division. Co-Ed is the child care and resource agency for 31 counties in Eastern Ohio. This broadcast is brought to you today in partnership with the Ohio Children's Trust Fund and the Eastern Ohio Prevention Council, both who are seeking to provide child abuse and neglect prevention services in Belmont, Carroll, Coshocton, Guernsey, Harrison, Jefferson, Monroe, Muskegum, Noble, and Tuscarawas counties. Thank you for joining us today. We are live and on site in St. Clairsville, which is in Belmont County, Ohio. My guest today is Jessica Hartley from Harmony House, and welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to have you start by just telling me a little bit about yourself and about Harmony House, because I have a feeling a lot of our viewers may not be aware of Harmony House, or maybe they are, and this is some recapping for them. But please tell me a little bit about yourself and Harmony House.
Sure. I started at Harmony House as an intern, actually, and then shortly after became an employee. I just really felt passionate about the mission and believed in the work that they did here, so decided that this was probably where I was meant to be. So I started, and that's been about 5 years ago. But Harmony House is here as a child advocacy center so that we can provide forensic interviews and advocacy services to children who allege abuse.
Mm-hmm. And so the mission then is to?
What we hope to do is reduce trauma for children whenever there are allegations of abuse. We give them a child-friendly environment to come and talk about what has happened to them. They can share their stories so that we can make sure that they and their families get the services that they need for healing.
Wonderful, wonderful. And that's we talk about trauma, and a lot of practices that we hear about now are not trauma informed, but this is the very first probably trauma informed organization and service provided to young children in that circumstance. Tell me a little bit more about Harmony House. So we have your mission. We know that you're here to help children with alleged abuse and provide the advocacy service. So get a little bit more into how it works, how families and children come to you, and just kind of walk us through the process and tell us a little bit more about Harmony House.
Whenever Child Protective Services, or CPS, gets a referral, or law enforcement receive a report of something that has happened and they have a concern for a child, then they get limited information from that child to determine if a forensic interview is needed. Once they have their information, then they refer to us, and we bring all of the agencies and other entities involved together to work as a team to help the child and their non-offending family members. So they come to us and we all work together, like I said, as a team. We do the forensic interview with the child and then determine what other services as a team that the family might need, and make sure that we work together to see that they're getting all of those services. Among that, there is the advocacy component from Harmony House's standpoint, and that's my actual title here. I'm the Child and Family Advocate. So I will do follow-up services and stay in touch with family throughout their entire case. I also do coordination of mental health referrals and medical exams with a sexual assault nurse that we have locally. We also have an on-site therapist here, but if for some reason therapy here doesn't work for family, if it's location or whatever reason, then we can refer out to outside agencies as well. So I make sure that we coordinate those services. We also do court accompaniment, so I can go to court with children if they have to go testify, and we do preparation for that as well. Our interviewers can testify in court. We do summaries, and we also do a lot of case tracking, so we keep up with these cases and all of the other agencies and where they're at with their part of the case.
You speak about, or you spoke about other agencies. So what are some of the community connections that you're making on behalf of families? So who would a team, what could a team possibly be compiled of?
Our team typically consists of Child Protective Services, law enforcement, the prosecutor's office. We work with the Belmont County Board of Developmental Disabilities. We also have the sexual assault nurse, which you may also hear referred to as a SANE nurse. Okay. There are mental health professionals that participate on our team. And then there is locally a sexual assault response team and a human trafficking coalition.
So when we're looking at all of those, those pieces and parts. Of course, the priority then is supporting the child and the non-offending parent as they go through the process. How would, and you may not know this number off the top of your head, but this is a Belmont County, and other counties, is it similar? What is your rate? How many children are you serving, or how many families are you serving on average in a given month, in a given year?
I would say anywhere from 20 to 30 a month, depending on just, it's hard to tell what the variables are as far as how and what our influx of referrals are. We don't always necessarily want to say that there's an increase in child abuse, but when we do community education, then it increases everyone's awareness that we're here and what we do, so that may be a reason for the increase in referrals as well.
What would your community education, community engagement look like? What are some of the activities that you do, or perhaps groups that you speak with?
We go and participate in different community fairs to inform the community of the services that we offer. We also go into schools and do various programs. There's a sexting program that we do with middle school and high schoolers, and then we also do a secrets program with Head Start and preschools and lower elementary grades. So prevention-wise, some of the prevention services that you're doing are actually going into these classrooms and sharing with them good touch, bad touch, those type of concepts, or what, especially with the younger population, what does that program really entail? And the reason why I'm asking is that because a lot of our viewers are working in early care and education. If it's something that would be appropriate, I would love for them to be able to contact you and say, yes, this is something we would love to add to our family engagement, to our education. The Secrets program is designed basically to teach children that it is okay to tell some secrets, that not all secrets are good and not all are bad. So it's to help them distinguish the difference in what they should do and should not do. It also helps them to identify safe people, somebody that they can go to if they have a secret that feels bad to them. And we like to tend to have children identify multiple safe people that they can go to. So it's very short, to the point, but developmentally appropriate.
And a little bit more about the middle school program?
The Sexting Program is for middle school and high school students, and basically we put together a presentation that talks about the consequences of sexting, what can happen, what to look out for, what to do if you receive unsolicited pictures of others, how to treat people. So it also goes into a little bit of cyberbullying and topics like that.
That's fabulous. And so again, I just do want to reiterate that a lot of our viewers work with children, and this could potentially be a great resource for them. And we'd like to make sure that those are highlighted so that if there is a need in their community, that they can find a similar program to Harmony House, or contact Harmony House to help with that. So then going back into what actually happens here, then let's talk about advocacy and the role that Harmony House serves in advocacy. And you've touched upon a couple pieces of what that looks like, but let's get into a little bit more of that and what that looks like.
Okay, so when a family and a child first come into Harmony House, part of my job is to make sure that they feel safe and comfortable being here, and that they know that this is a place of support. So I explain our mission and the process of everything, and just make sure that they understand what they're going to be experiencing while they're here. We always take families on a little tour of our building to show them where everything is, to help ease a little bit of anxiety. I explain all of the necessary consent forms that we have to do. I always make sure that the families and the child meet our forensic interviewer prior to the interview. It's just a brief introduction, so they'll see who the person is that they're going to be talking to. And then while the child is being interviewed, I sit in the waiting room with the family that's here and provide support, guidance, and try to find out what their specific needs are, so that we can make sure that we're connecting them with the right people afterwards.
And you mentioned, and you've used the term forensic interviewer, and I have some familiarity with that, but that's not something you just kind of walk into and become a forensic interviewer. Can you tell me a little bit about the background, and probably of the background of all the staff here, that it takes special, not only special training, but special hearts and compassion to do this type of work?
Sure. In order to be a forensic interviewer, you have to go through a specific training. There are multiple types that are recognized across the country, and here at Harmony House we are trained in child first.
Okay.
So there is a specific protocol that goes along with that. We're trained to ask non-leading questions and to have the information come as much from the child without proposing any subjects or ideas to them, so that it comes straight from them. That training is about a week long, and then there's peer review that has to continue throughout your time doing interviews to make sure that and there's also some updated courses that you can take. So far, 2 of us here, my coworker Scott has been doing interviews for 10 years now. I actually just became trained about 2 months ago to do interviews, and I have a few that I've done now. So you can't do that without that, but it is, it's a very self-fulfilling job, I guess. It's rewarding, but when you look at the bigger picture, you have to want to help kids. You have to really respect the mission and have a passion for it. Otherwise, it's just work. But we're talking about children and their lives, and they're healing from something traumatic. So that's what brought me here, and that's what keeps me going with it every
keeps
day.
you here. And the purpose of our Facebook Live and the other things that COAD, in partnership with the Children's Trust Fund, is about prevention. So, from those of us in the prevention piece, and also some of the things you talked about with your services for the younger kids and middle school kids, is about the prevention piece. And it's been very important for us to really focus upon educating people so that we can identify and prevent abuse and neglect. And I was really interested in coming and talking with you today because this is what your work is, what results when there aren't prevention pieces in place, or there isn't that free communication, whether it be on the child or the family, that they don't feel supported and aren't in that situation. So that's one reason why I really wanted to focus on Harmony House today. I know that you're serving Belmont County,
Yes.
but and I just was going to throw out a CAC, but a Child Advocacy Center, which is what officially Harmony House would be called. Are they available in all counties in Ohio? Is there sometimes, because of the lack of this type of service, that people are coming in and out of counties to find this support and just to find this help and trust and environment?
Not every county has their own CAC. There are multiple in Ohio, and there's also the Ohio Network of Children's Advocacy Centers. You can access their information to find out where there are specific CACs throughout the state. Here in Belmont County, this is our home base, this is our main county that we serve, but we also provide services to people and families from Harrison County and Monroe County, and we're working to make those 2 of our official counties as well. We would never turn a child away if something needed to happen, or if an interview needed completed or services, then we would never turn them away regardless of where they're at. With the system the way it is, and children have to move oftentimes with whether it's relatives or foster care, they end up in different parts of the state. So we can do courtesy interviews for other counties in the state of Ohio that don't have their own CAC, or that the child is just too far away from their home CAC. A big part of this is, I think a huge piece to understand is that we're a nonprofit agency, so we don't charge for any services that we provide. That includes the advocacy, that includes therapy services. It's all free to everybody that we serve. And that's a really important piece to us here, because we feel that makes it equal for everybody. So you're going to get the same services here regardless of any ability to pay.
And I do want to highlight that as you said about the boundaries, so you're not necessarily constricted by boundaries, but also income levels or resources. Everybody walks in will be assisted and be offered the support. Granted, they're coming through their referral agencies, but that isn't a detriment for a family, for a child walking through the doors of Harmony House if they're referred here.
Absolutely.
Or any other CAC, I'm sure.
Some CACs do things a little bit differently, and they may bill for mental health services or different things like that, but at Harmony House, we're strictly a nonprofit and we bill for nothing.
So with that being said, and that the funding as a nonprofit, and that there isn't or there are not fees associated with, how do you stay operational?
There are various grants that we receive through federal and state funds. There's also some local community money through the county that we receive, but we also do a lot of fundraising. Sometimes that can be a little difficult because depending on each person's funding source here, that determines whether or not we're allowed to participate in fundraising. So that can be a very huge piece of what.
That sounds challenging.
Yes, we're
Pieces
very
of puzzles
small.
trying to put
and
together into a
we all
beautiful
need to
picture.
work as a team.
Mhm.
We're very small, so it kind of takes this team effort to make sure we keep going, but we do heavily rely on fundraising. We have a couple different fundraisers throughout the year. For Belmont County specifically, we have a Halloween party every year. It's an adult themed Halloween party. So there's costumes and prizes and raffles, auctions, but it's always a lot of fun. And we're always looking for people to help with our auxiliary, which is the team that helps put on that Halloween
And that was
party.
going to be my follow-up question,
Yeah.
was if someone who's viewing today and would like to become involved with Harmony House or with any other CAC throughout Ohio, what is the best way? Are there volunteer opportunities, and what would they look like? And also, what can we as community members do to be supportive of this service?
We do take volunteers. We also offer internships for students if they're interested in coming here. We have volunteers that can be a part of the auxiliary, as I mentioned, or they can have direct contact with clients. You just have to be able to pass the background checks and have all that. But you would just contact us here at Harmony House to set something up if you were interested, and then we do kind of a basic volunteer training for anybody who
So there
wants
is
to
an
do that.
orientation,
Yes.
so that someone that
Yeah.
might be interested in. Is that a day or two, or what type of orientation?
It's actually only a few hours long. It's
Mhm.
a basic introduction to what we do, how things work, and then
And there's probably understanding the system.
yes, absolutely, and then just finding out exactly what area of our agency they would be most interested in working in.
Could you please share with our viewers, as we begin to wrap up, contact information for Harmony House here in Belmont County?
Sure. Our telephone number is 740-695-0812. We have a website, which is www.harmonyhousecacwv.com.
And I will post that on our Facebook page,
Yes.
so that if anybody's watching today and they'd like to come back and learn some more information, please look in the comments for that.
The address has the WV at the end because we originated in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Okay.
So this is our second office.
That could be misleading, so people
Yes,
might be confused
so
by
we'll
that,
make
so that's
sure to
fabulous.
put it out We also have a Facebook page that's updated pretty regularly. We have a human trafficking coalition page for Belmont County that you can also go on Facebook and like and follow. And anybody can call. There's on the email or on the website. There's phone numbers, address, everything's listed, or an email address to email the agency itself.
Okay. Could you please repeat the Facebook or the website page again?
Yes, it's www.harmonyhousecacwv.com.
Okay, very good. Well, Jessica, I want to thank you so much for coming and sharing about what child advocacy centers do, how to access them, and I think that a lot of times this seems to be the hidden gem that really helps families get through a very, very difficult time. So I want to thank you personally for the work that you and your
Thank you.
and your coworkers do. I value. I wish, and you may feel the same way. I wish your jobs didn't exist.
Yes.
But it's wonderful to know that in those situations where those families and children need support, that there's places like Harmony House that are here to help them through the process, and thank you.
Absolutely.
So I really want to thank you, and I thank all of you for joining us today. Again, please, if you have any questions or comments or would like to pose any questions to either myself or Jessica about today, please feel free to leave us a comment and we'll get back to you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.